This is the channel. 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 Well, hello. Welcome to the chat. I am excited about tonight. I know that it'll probably take people a few to get on. We have moved all of this to YouTube. So we're just excited. I know some people have to get familiar. They're waiting on maybe it to hit on another platform. But we want to be able to have a closed session and have some conversation. And so we're just wanting to welcome you. Go ahead. Make sure you send a link to a sister girl. Thank you for letting us know. Please tell us you're here. Just say, give us an emoji, a dancing girl, or just say howdy. I know I'm not country, y'all, but I like that. I like when I say that. It makes you kind of pick up in your attitude. You can't say howdy. No, howdy. Yeah, like come on. We need some energy here. We see that you all are coming in. It's not just for the ladies, but hey, we're going to be talking about mentorship all this weekend. And then guess what? Give you a little break. And then the following week, we're going to come back with some more. We want to make sure you get a full understanding of this mentorship. I know we hear a lot about coaching. We hear a lot about mentorship, and sometimes people use those interchangeable, but for tonight is not. Okay, so when you think about a coach, like the coach of the Buffalo Bills, all right, I ain't gonna mess with all y'all that have different other, them teams, whatever. He tells them what plays, like, okay, we need to do this, you need to do this, this is what we need to do. When they don't do well, he get them back there in the locker room and say, hey, you need to do this, 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 this. Mentorship isn't about that. And I want to give you a definition. I'll show you. This is your girl's dissertation in the hard copy, y'all. Look at this. Woo-hoo! Okay. I also have it in a paper copy. I'm so excited. So let me tell you what mentoring, what I use mentoring for my research and what we're going to really be using for these 6 nights that we're going to be together. Okay. So mentoring is a type of interpersonal relationship that changes over time and includes intentional process of nurturing, support, protection, guidance, instruction, and challenge within mutual agreed upon and ethical parameters that include the integration of personal and professional aspects of an individual's life. I know that's a lot. But I want you to get that it is interpersonal, it is very intentional, and it affects multiple parts of your life, okay? Your personal life and your professional life. This relationship is crucial. And when you think about relationship, you got the ship on the end. Mentorship, you got the ship on the end. Sometimes on that ship is a little rocky, but we're going to talk about how it can really benefit you in your professional life, in your personal life. whatever, we use mentorship for this particular research I did. I looked at mentorship focus career wise, right? But in my research, I found that it just didn't impact them in their career, but it affected and impacted their personal lives. Okay. So we see you all up in here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for sharing. Right now, what we want to do is we want to get started. I am so excited to have as our guest, our first guest on the chat in the new year. Okay. In the new year and on our topic of mentorship. I don't want to give it away. I'm going to let her introduce herself. And I'm telling you, you're going to really be inspired and encouraged as she shares her story. Let's welcome none other than the soon to be Dr. Williams.
Ooh, hey, hello.
How are
Soon to be,
you? You looking all sunshiny.
yes. Philly is cold, so we got to bring this sunshine in, these yellow walls, some bright lights in here. But I am feeling amazing. I'm excited, Dr. J, about being here and this opportunity to be able to share. I already said, listen, I've been tracking you for a minute. So I've seen your journey, and I'm like, when I grow up, I got some goals. I got some goals. So I'm
Well,
excited to be here.
you and yourself, some of the things that you have done and some of the things that you are doing is phenomenal. So we're tracking one another. All right. I'm so glad you're here. So sad that your team, the Eagles are not doing too well, but
Oh, don't even
that's
talk
okay.
about it.
You could cheer for the Buffalo
Oh,
Bills.
I can't. I can't. The home I live in is Eagles green, hook or crook. And if my husband ever thought that I was gonna switch a team, I'm gone.
Oh, well,
So yeah.
we don't want you to get in trouble. You got to live with
No,
him.
no. We bleed green regardless. We bleed green.
Oh Lord, jeez. Okay, we're gonna leave that football alone. We see these ladies up in the house, and we want to just say welcome, happy New Year to each one of you. This is, like I said, I get energized when I get in a space where women are excited about what they're doing, right? Even through all of the challenges that we experience as women, guess what? We keep it moving and we're
Mhm.
not going to stop. We see sometimes when we don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, we keep pushing it until we can see. We like, okay, there's a light there. I'm gonna keep going that way. Oh no, did it move here? I'm gonna go that way. But we get to the end and get through that door, and so I'm just excited that you're here. Let's jump on in and come on, tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, what have you been doing this last year?
Oh wow. Oh, a lot. Now, listen, I don't want people to get overwhelmed when I say the things that I do and what's going on in my life. Sometimes it could be overwhelming to one, but I will just say this precursor and saying that before I tell you all of this, God has given grace for it. Okay. Um, Absolutely has given grace for what he has been doing in my life. And so I'll start off by just saying, listen, first of all, I am a wife
Come on.
of a husband of 30. Well, we're in 24. It'll be 31 years this year. And that is absolutely priority. So, number one, first and foremost, I'm a happy wife
Come
of
on.
31 years and excited about it all. I have 3 adult children, I have 4 grandchildren, and I have a host of godchildren and all the things, all the people, right? A wonderful community. So I always want to start with family. So that's who I be
Okay, come on now.
first and foremost. And so through that, right? having my nucleus, my community, I'm able to be an executive pastor of an amazing church here in Philadelphia called Capacity Church Philly, under the wonderful leadership of Pastor R. Sean Edmonds. So I also, again, executive pastor, which I'm growing and stretching and just loving all the things that come with that over the last 4 years. And I know you said for
That's
last
okay.
year. I'm getting
Go
there.
ahead. Go
And
ahead.
and I
That
am
encompassed
also,
this year.
yes, I am also a doctoral student, a PhD student. Like I said, soon to be doctor, soon to be
Yeah.
doctor in a field that is not uh, well recognized yet. It is up and coming. So I am going to be an IO psychologist, and that is an industrial organizational psychologist. So
Come
what
on.
is that?
Mm.
It's about structure within organizations, helping to bridge gaps, helping to have organizations be sustainable. But it's also serves a dual purpose: people and the organization. So understanding people, the psychology of people, understanding the psychology of organizations. So believe it or not, y'all, organizations have personalities, right? And we have to
Mhm.
understand them in order for them to grow. So that's my PhD piece. I am still working full time in corporate America, right?
Woo.
26 years this year, and I do corporate level projects and programs, establishes programs within a Fortune 400 company. So I'm still full time. So y'all pray for a
We
sister.
got you, girl.
But I'm also, listen, a sister. A sister friend, and I support my other sisters and brothers in their communities. But that is really who I am. Some of the things that I've done. But over this course of the year, I have been fully invested again in my studies and really trying to find rhythm in my life. We talk about balance, and I think balance sometimes can be hard to achieve.
Mhm. Mhm.
It makes it harder, more pressure, I should say, on us to try to balance, but finding a rhythm with all the things that God has called me to do. Right? I have my own business, Elevate Leadership Enterprises. Right? That is a leadership development and organizational consulting business. And so while we're still small, but we are growing very quickly,
Come on.
very quickly. And so through Elevate Leadership, through ministry, through my corporate experiences, I've just been able to accomplish much throughout this course of the year. I am in the midst right now. I'm planning my second leadership summit right here. Well, it's in the outskirts of Philadelphia, Wyncote, Pennsylvania. That's going to be on April the 20th. I'm super excited about that. And I know we'll get into what my passions are. It'll make sense later, y'all. It will all make sense, all these things that God is having me do. But April 20th, we're definitely going to have this summit, and I'm excited about that. So I'm consulting churches. I'm also helping to develop leaders in other organizations within churches, predominantly in churches, but I also do small businesses as well. So over this last year, it has been very busy. Um, Busy for good reasons. And again, God has given me the grace to manage and to have a rhythm to accomplish all. You know how they say, sometimes you can't master everything. You can if God graced you for it. So I want to encourage anybody real quick that you can truly have it all. If God graced you for it and told you to do these
Come
things
on.
and do all these things, He'll grace you for it. He will absolutely grace you for it. And especially when you have a community as well, community that supports you. So I think I tapped into most things that I've done over this year, but a lot of planning. I am having an all women's conference in July of this year. And
Wow.
the actual theme is called You Can Have It All, because one of my passions is to see women in leadership fulfill their purpose and not dissect pieces of them. Oh, I only can do this here. I only can do that there. I've been there, done that. And God said, you got to carry all of who you are everywhere you go. You can't split it up.
Yes. That's
And
good.
so that conference in July is going to be an amazing event as well. So two major events for me this year. Um, And then in between that, I do an online. Right now, we're virtual. I do a community called the CoLab. Ministry leaders, we come every quarter to talk about subjects that are meaningful to us in a trusted space. We talk about, things from vision, strategy, execution, the lack of execution, what are those barriers, and we help each other out. I believe that this is a season for us to connect,
Yeah.
right? To collaborate. Like let's put our pride down and say, guess what? I need help. Over the pandemic, so many churches, so many organizations have died because they refuse to ask for help.
Girl, now you know what? You
We
about
gotta
to
come together to live, survive.
mess up stuff up in here, okay? Because when you talk about connect, that is, I've been reading a book called Together, and it talks about connection and the importance of it, and how we as human beings, some of us, when we have great loss, when we lose someone, if we're not careful about reconnecting to someone else or reconnecting back to God, it could take us out of here. And you said that, with industries or churches that they didn't connect, and they didn't, and that's my word, is my compound word is help self this.
Yes.
And it is
Help.
about knowing to ask for help, right?
Mhm, mhm.
Especially God. Okay, we go tell us about your passions. Tell you about to mess stuff on up in here, okay? I'm like, okay, wait a minute. I'm trying to do this interview. I'm like, we about to come on, talk about
I
what you
know.
want us
I'm
to
so,
do. Come on.
I'm sorry. Let me.
No, no, no. Give it to us. Tell us about your passions.
My passions, and some of this I've already mentioned, right? One for sure, absolutely is women and women's issues, and really empowering women to be the best self that they can be, removing those excuses that we can't, right? Or is not the time. We know that, yes, there is, there takes some planning to do things, but I found that through, leadership development, through coaching others and things like that, we were women were just saying, I'll just wait till my kids get X, Y, and Z. Right. And then something else, life's through
Life
as they're
happens.
growing.
Mm-hmm.
It happens. And then something else happens and then it pushes back even further. Or, I don't have the money, or I don't have the people. I don't have start where you are.
Mm.
Right. And so that is my passion, to see women flourish into who God has called them to be. Not that I don't rule out the brothers. I care about the brothers, absolutely. But I
Mm-hmm.
will say, of course, because I'm a woman, I knew the struggles. I had those excuses. But once I was able to break through those barriers and get on the other side, I was like, wow,
It's
all of
beautiful
this
over
is
here.
here on this other side.
It's
It's on the other side of this. But if I didn't push and have people, and well, I know we're going to get into that, people in my life to help push you through those barriers and that way of thinking that you can, or it's not time, or you don't have, where would I be?
where where
Right?
where
Where
would
would I be? So women and empowerment and pushing them to purpose is absolutely a passion of mine. But I will say, structure in organizations is my jam. Is my jam. And I will tell you, I didn't realize it was my jam until honestly, I was doing it organically in a
Uh-huh.
sense,
Mhm.
right? And I share this. I often share this story, because people are like, "How did you even get to like organizational structure and design and bridging all the gaps?" And it started with in the corporate space. I was a frontline employee, got promoted to a supervisor, right? And they would move me from team to team. And I'm like, why do they keep moving me around? This is frustrating. And my boss is like, you don't get it. She was like, you're developing these teams. They don't need you anymore. So they would take me to the next worst team who needed some structure or needed development. So I was developing these teams and developing the people.
Mm.
And so I had built all these high performing teams unconsciously. I'm just like,
Mhm.
This is what I'm doing. I'm empowering people. I'm utilizing their gifts. I'm making people feel empowered. Utilizing their gifts, meeting them where they are, using biblical principles
Come on. Come
in the
on.
corporate space. But it was just in my mind, it's just I care. But God was showing me, no, I'm building you for something else, for something greater.
Mhm.
And everywhere I go, and I'm quite sure some of you women or those of you who are watching might resonate with you. You walk into a room and you're just coming to mind your business. I'm going to this conference, I'm going to this show. And they're like, well, can we have a volunteer to do so and so or lead this initiative or something, something? And you just sitting there, they be like, how about you? And I'm like, I just showed up. I'm just coming here. I ain't come to lead nothing, blah, blah, blah. I'm just coming to be, but not know, identifying that
Mhm.
without being too preachy, the anointing, the gift was already showing on me, whether
Come
I
on.
wanted to or not, whether
Mhm.
I wanted to be exposed or not.
Mhm.
And I would take on those challenges. But I saw the benefits of that, um, organizational structure, especially with leadership development. um, there is a such thing, organizations rise and falls on leadership, and I have been exposed to some very unhealthy leadership or poor leadership.
Mhm.
um, and had I not had the foundation that I was under and went on, right, I could have just crumbled.
Yeah.
And so I started identifying that leaders need help too. They
Right.
bring baggage. They only know what they know. And I said, I want to help leaders as well. So we have, again, women, we have organizational structure, bringing things together, but also developing the leaders within organizations, within teams to make sure that they are equipped and have what they need. Everybody comes from a different leadership avenue, if you will. Some
Right.
people, or just because their mama, papa was a leader, they're no longer with us, then they fill in the space. But were they trained for that?
Mhm.
Do they have everything that they need? Right? Communication, whatever. We all need something, right? We
Right.
all need development. There's no perfect leader, but it is a such thing as developing leaders and getting those to the places where they need to be successful. It's not about book smarts all the time. It's interpersonal skills, those things that are necessary. So it's really it's just amazing how God he's just taken me through this. He instilled this passion for holistic, you know. So in
Mhm.
my organization, I say healthy. One of the things we say is healthy leaders, healthy people equates to a healthier world.
Come
It
on.
starts with us,
Right.
right? It starts with a healthy leadership mindset who influences others. So it should be a snowball effect into the world and beyond.
Right.
So it's all about leadership. It's all about organizational structure, and definitely, absolutely women. So I'm very passionate about those things. I can go on and on and on about that, but that is really um um my life's passion. If you want, I mean, other things, as far as travel, I am absolutely a foodie. I like the culture. Again, it ties back to all the stuff. But
Yeah.
even with food and pairing things together, all of those things make sense to me, and I enjoy all of those things. So I like to have fun too, y'all.
Ooh, come on. Now, before we get to the next question, I want everyone that's here, if you in the chat can type what's your passion. You got a chance to hear from
I
the
know.
future Dr. Williams. What was her passion? What are some of your passions? I think it's important. I was reading a book by Priscilla Shire, and it's called Fervent. It's about prayer. And some of you may have read this book. And one of the strategies she talks about that we need to equip ourselves in prayer is because it's a strategy that the enemy used. And that number one strategy is to attack your passion. Your passion to pray, whatever your passion is, because once your passion is attacked, or
Mhm.
you can't find it, or you struggling, guess what? You going down because it's our passion. And that's been my tagline for years. I don't want to date myself, but my tagline and several of my emails read passion drives. Passion is going to drive you where you need to go. So go ahead and drop what's your passion, because we want to hear your passions. It's important. If you're sitting there like, well, what's my passion? Whatever first come to mind. I know through this my process, getting my PhD, I got a chance to really nail down what my passion was. They were like, well, write about something you're really passionate about. I was like, I'm passionate about a lot of things. I'm passionate about this. But then as I really sat still and I really just started looking across my life, I realized that all my life I have mentored. Even as a child, I have mentored people. I've been a bridge getting them to the other side. And so I was like, I'm going to write about this. But somebody read, let me see, what's her name? Shanoa says helping people get to the heart of their issues so they can be free indeed. For real. Dr. Neil, Deirdre Neal says to create is her passion. Come on, y'all. Don't be shy. Give us your passion. While you all are writing, we're going to go to the next. Before we get to talking about mentorship, we want to just get this background on the future Dr. Williams, right? So the next question is, how have you been living? What have you been experiencing this last year?
Oh, what have I been experiencing? Oh, so many. So if I can be totally transparent. So I actually had to do some very hard things in this 23, right?
Mhm.
23. I had to eulogize two family members,
Ooh.
right? In the midst of all all of my passions, all of the things, but what comes along with, I talked about families first, but also being a pastor as well. So pastoring your family
Mhm.
um, can be something. It's a new experience for me, you guys. But that was very challenging, but also very eye opening.
Mm.
For one was my aunt, my father's only sibling, and and I'll say we didn't have the closest relationship. And it was like, God, why me? And my father's like, you're going to do this for me, and I'm going to do anything for my parents, right? I'm going to do anything for my. But what I learned about um, forgiveness, even in the midst of all the stuff,
Come on.
how
Ooh.
looking at one's life, my aunt's life, and how she literally preached her own eulogy, and she taught us so many things. So I had to unpack all of those things,
Mhm.
deal with that, and then my sister's life partner passed recently, and I had to eulogize him, and again, hard stuff, but seeing how a person's life, the impact on a person's life shows up.
Mhm.
And in the instance where my sister's life partner passed, we had to line them out the outside of the church. That's how many people for the
Wow.
procession, for the family to come in,
Mhm.
and it was standing room only, right? As you can imagine. So of course, you never know how many people is going to come. But for me, so when you're asking about what I've been doing, I have been learning more about myself. I've been stretched emotionally. I've been stretched in the calling of my life when I say I have to eulogize family members, things like that, but also seeing how important it is to make an impact in someone's life.
Mm.
Even if, even in the midst of being imperfect, how one person can touch many lives. And
Mm,
so it points back to, what are we doing in our life? Am I making an impact? It made me become more reflective. So, short answer to that example is, what have I been doing? It's been more self reflection, tightening up some things in my own mind, tightening some other things up in my life. Anything that I might be holding back, resentment, unforgiveness. Am I living my life to the fullest? Am I doing the things that I enjoy? Because folks are dying very rapidly in
mm,
these last few years.
mm.
So over these last few years, what I've been doing in my life is really being stretched, allowing myself to be stretched, allowing myself to receive help. Number one, because typically, people might look at me, as the helper, the fixer, the one who has the answers. But now I'm saying, I don't know the answers,
Mhm.
and allowing myself to be vulnerable in this season. Say, I need help. I
Yeah.
need a team. Asking questions. Does this sound right? Does this look right? Those type of things. And that took a lot for me. And I didn't realize I was holding that so tightly.
Mm.
And so what I've been up to is fine tuning me, listening more to the Father, keeping my circle close with trusted people that's helping me on this path by doctoral studies. I mean, some of my classes, look, Dr. J, I reached out to you like, what? How did you do that? There was a time when I didn't do that, but all the things that I uh, said about myself at the beginning, I believe that it's been easier. It's not as hard because I'm allowing myself to be vulnerable, and that's a lot of it. So it's not just the things, creating, consulting churches and doing things,
Mhm.
in ministry and in business, but the personal stuff is
Yes.
a lot of the things that I've been working on for me. So absolutely, I'm doing these summits, y'all. I'm going to do these collabs. I'm going to be doing my PhD studies. But that is really what I've been doing. One of the things I will say I did not, I was struggling with was I didn't do as much travel as I normally do over the last a few years. And I'm starting to grieve that a little bit. I said, Lord, I need some clear water and some heat. So
Jamaica.
we Jamaica, and that's quick. It's a quick flight. So just working through that. So I hope that I answered that question. I'm helping somebody. So yes, while there's the business, the ministry, the family, all those things, what I've really been doing is allowing myself and allowing people to love on me.
Yes.
Where in some
Mm.
spaces I unconsciously put up walls, but there were some intentional walls too. And I'm finding that I'm freer because of that. I'm laughing more. I'm allowing myself to be. I'm just as silly as I want to be most times now. I'm probably driving my bestest crazy. I'm calling her all the time now, where I'm like, where I would be like, calling my friends like, oh, I don't want to bother nobody. I'm bothering everybody. If it's a
Everybody.
joke, it's a TikTok, it's a something. I'm saying it, and I feel so much lighter because I have sealed up those places,
Mm.
right?
Yes.
I
Wow.
sealed up those things that was hindering me
Mhm.
in so many ways that I didn't realize. And I believe it started, honestly, with the death of my aunt
Mm.
and having that charge to eulogize her. And that just opened up so much more for me and so many opportunities because of that.
Wow. I mean, that last statement you made about being open. A lot of times, death causes us to shut down. It causes us to feel all of the negatives around it, the loss, um, the isolation, whatever it may be. But if we really open up and lean into it, it'll cause us to appreciate and to grow, to reflect, that self-reflection, um knowing who you are, right? Even in that moment, because we get lost. I was having this conversation with my husband. We're humans. We were born and shaped in iniquity, right?
Mhm.
So we get all of the stuff that comes our way, and all of the stuff that we love to do, all of that is all compiled together. But death seems to stop us.
Mhm.
It's like a pause,
Mhm.
and the older you get, it's a longer pause because you like,
Mhm.
I'm going there. I don't wait. You pulling me? Okay, I have a shorter time than what I had when I was 15. you know so
Exactly.
that's powerful, and I appreciate you being so transparent. There's so many nuggets, and we're going to touch that, but come back to some of that. But we're going to put it all in, and I want the people that are here to kind of think about those questions that I asked her about your passion. What's your experience? A lot of times we tend to look at the negative of what went on in the year or what we didn't get. But I was and we have this guest coming on Sunday. And she was sharing that this year what she wanted to do for Christmas was to give people experiences. So if you like to cook, she wanted to give you a cookbook. And right before, she was probing, and this was before I knew what she was up to. And she was like, if you had an experience that you can do, would you do it with your children? Would you do it with your sister girls? Or, and I was like, oh, like both of them, like, oh, but I could do this with my sister girls. Oh, but I want to do this with my kids. But I was like, I could do that with them later.
Yeah.
But she was, when you think about an experience, even when you were sharing about eating, being a foodie,
Mhm.
when you go and you can taste and you can laugh and you can enjoy the company that you with along with the food, that's an experience. um Most cultures, when you travel outside the US, they have dinner or supper, and it could be hours long because they are connecting, they
Mhm.
are making that memory, they're having an experience, whether it's learning from one another or gaining, not just gaining knowledge, but sharing knowledge, sharing their experience. I mean, as you were sharing, I got all teary eyed because I could see the connections in my life.
Mhm.
It's something about, and you don't have to go through a doctoral program to have this happen, but it compels you to think um outside of yourself.
Yeah.
um and that is, when I think about the word help self,
Mhm.
when God first gave it to me, I was like, well, you must mean self-help. I'm gonna make it cute,
Mhm.
like they know that phrase. And when I was
Mhm.
like, tell them self-help, and the Holy Spirit was like, I didn't say that. I said help self. That's totally different than self-help.
Mhm. Mhm. It
And
is.
so
Mhm.
um and we have to realize that God wants to help us, but He also wants us to be very transparent.
Mhm.
And as I was sharing with you all real quick about the book I was reading, about that passion piece, it came a piece of repentance for me because I was writing my prayer. And when I went to read it back, I said, for real, God? I was like, oh God. I was like, help me, and that came back to that help self. I
I love it.
realized that there was things that had placed themselves in my heart that I had to really get out of there because it was killing my passion.
Mhm.
So let me just read a couple of some of the passions that some people had. Toka said helping people, my family. Angela said bring joy into people's lives by making them laugh. Teresa said my passion is helping those in need. One day I will have a business for the homeless. For homeless. God gave me everything from the name to how it will be run years ago. All right. So it isn't that interesting that our passion really has nothing to do with us. It has to do with God's creation, and that is other people.
That's it. That is absolutely it. And that has to be the focus. It has to be the focus is that, that mindset is not about us.
It's not about us.
We're the vessel to help others, right? And it should be reciprocal, right? So
Ooh,
we're in this world to help others, then somebody should be helping us, and then we're helping them,
now
and
you
then
jumping
we're
ahead. You jumping ahead. You jumping
okay,
ahead because we about to
okay,
talk about this mentorship.
okay. So I wanted to say real quick, if I could,
Sure.
when you were talking about the experience and not being about us. When I first signed up for the PhD program, I proactively and you told me about that. You was like, you need to establish relationships early. Like,
Come on.
so what, school ain't start yet. Do you know who your advisor is? Like, connect with that. So I did connect with my advisor, and one of the things he said to me that was so profound. He said, if you are want this doctoral degree for the degree, you're in the wrong spot.
Mm,
He said it's not just about the degree. This is about you. You're gonna learn who you are. There's going to be a lot of self-discovery, what you can't do, what you thought you knew, you really don't know. But allow yourself to do that, right? So even the doctoral degree shouldn't be just about the degree. He said people lose momentum when they're just looking for the paper.
ooh,
If it's not something more deeply rooted, like your passion,
mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm.
Not a PhD to get a job
Oh,
or get
oh,
an increase in salary. That does not guarantee. But you should be here because of a passion, something you just said that drives you to
yes.
that thing. And so I thought I'd just add that. That was right at the very beginning of my program, and that set me straight. Although I knew I'm only in the PhD program because God says so. I was done at the master's. Do you hear me? Done. God said absolutely not. And here's what I want you to take. And I did not know what IO psychology was. I said, God, what is that? He said, look it up. It's there. And I looked it up. I said, it really exists. I really did hear
I
from
remember that.
I really did hear from God. But it was because of his purpose for my life, right? So I just wanted to say that to reiterate the passion piece. That's where I was going with that. So I apologize if I went on
Ooh.
my
Yeah. Okay.
but it's about the passion.
Okay.
That's
Woo.
what why we're pushed. That's what drives us.
Yes. That's what's going to keep us moving. So
Hmm.
let's talk about mentorship.
Hmm.
Um, so I gave the kind of a definition of it, and really about it being interpersonal. It's being intentional, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and that intentional, I've been sitting with that word as far as relationship.
Hmm.
But mentorship is about really helping that person develop with so many key pieces. So it said that it is to nurture, support, protect, guide, instruct, okay? And it's
Hmm.
supposed to be mutual. Mutual. You said that it's a give and take. Doing my research, I realized that some mentors don't realize that you can have reverse mentorship. We'll talk a little bit about that as we go in the week. But
Hmm.
I'm telling you, it's
Yes.
important to understand this. So tell me what is your definition, or how do you see mentorship,
Hmm.
and what's a mentor and what's a mentee?
Hmm. Yeah. So very similar to what you described, right? It's definitely a relationship.
Mhm.
But I will say, with that, it's direction, is guiding, is motivating, is providing advice, and it can be reciprocal. But also mentorship sometimes I look at it in two. It can occur in two ways, from my experience. One is organic,
Mm-hmm.
meaning you might be working with someone, right? Um, or serve in my case, serving alongside of someone in ministry or on teams, and it's organic. You're just organically learning from one another, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're showing you the ropes. They're teaching you, all the things that you need to learn, and it's organic. You didn't have to necessarily ask for it. It
Mm-hmm.
just was organic, and they see something in you, or I see something in someone. I'm like, I just want to pour into them and show them the ropes and see their potential and guide them, as in their career. That's where the conversations start. Asking, so what is your passion? What do you like to do? It's organic in that way.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other is where it's more focused, more intentional, meaning I may seek out a mentee, or approach them and say, "Hey, I see this in you. Would you mind if I guide you through this process or this whatever?" But also, where a person would come to another and say, "Hey, I need help. Would you mind mentoring me through my goals or through, my passion?" So I see it in two ways: the organic and more intentional, focused, kind of outlined. Here's what we're going to work through. Here's the structure. Here's what this relationship is going to look like, and how I can get you to X, Y, and Z. But I will say that, in either case, mentorship is a beautiful thing if you allow if you allow yourself to be vulnerable both ways,
Mm-hmm.
to be able to talk about. And I know in some of my mentoring experiences, um, I shared even my downfalls, the things, my mistakes, to help people along the way as well. So some people look at a mentor like they have it all together. That's not necessarily the truth. So, being a mentor requires transparency. It requires that we, are devoting time, not over while not overextending ourselves. I think it has to have some boundaries in mentorship relationships too. In some instances, I remember I used to burn myself out because I just wanted to help everybody all the time. I didn't care. You had a question, you called me whatever time of night you wanted to text me, bing, 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 bing. I was always available. Burnout.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I do think that being a mentor has a level of responsibility. We are accountable to that person. We should be truthful. We should be transparent with them and be willing to help, and also be willing to refer. Meaning, I don't have the answer, but
Come
I
on.
know somebody else that does. That doesn't break the mentor relationship. It
Mm-hmm.
just exposes them to others, right? Who have the knowledge that you may not, right? So I think that being a mentor is definitely, it does take patience, um, as well, but also with a mentor relationship. And I've learned this in the corporate space, and that mentees, there's an expectation that mentees should, um, set up the time, show that they're interested, right? Like if they say
Mm-hmm.
they want you to be their mentor, they should be setting the tone, right? Showing that they're excited about it, that they're showing that, they're all in. What
Mm-hmm.
mentorship is not is hand holding to be a crutch. So I
Mm-hmm.
want to say that. So mentorship is not being a crutch for someone, because we could easily do that if we're not careful. So it is allowing that person to do the work,
Right.
right? And giving clear instruction, because that could be, um, a muddy space if
Mm-hmm.
we're allowing the person to be solely dependent on us, and
Mm-hmm.
vice versa. It could become unhealthy, if that makes sense.
Yes, very toxic. So I want to ask you all that are here with us if you have been in a mentorship relationship, a mentoring relationship. If you have, just say yes. Um, as the future Dr. Williams was saying about the organic, the term for that is informal mentoring. So it's informal, is not a process or a program where the other one may be a program. It doesn't necessarily, which is called formal mentor. So you go to somebody and they agree to be your mentor, or an organization will have a program where they assign you a mentor. So many key pieces you um, really already stated, I think is key. Usually, a mentor is someone who may have been in that space a little longer, and a mentee is someone who may be new, may need not just to learn a skill, but learn to navigate the space. A lot
Yes.
of times, that's what we as women, especially Black women, need, because we're moving in spaces where some of the stigma that has been attached to us, like when we move our head, well, why are they moving their head? Oh, they're an angry Black woman. If we get our voice elevated, we rarely cry because we've been taught, no, you're not gonna cry in this space. Where
Uh-uh.
our counterparts, they cry and everything moves. It's like, I'm like, wait a minute, when I cry, would they have a little compassion for me? um so understanding that role, one of the things you pointed out as well is um being clear, having that communication of what the boundaries will look like. Some people, like you said, most mentors are not trained to be mentors, and I think that's where um, sometimes we go wrong, because we're looking at it as, well, I got to babysit them, or I got to train them, or if I like them, as long as they do what I tell them to do, or we're friends. And it's that whole perspective of non-communication, where
Mm-hmm.
mentees, sometimes I've, through my research, found that we, especially Black women, we are very closed. We are protected of ourselves, for multiple good reasons as well as not so good reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And you also pointed out, the future Dr. Williams, um, that you have to be transparent.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized through my process, I am writing about mentorship. I am working with a chair, okay? And during this process, at one point I was starting to get very tough. And I was like, oh my gosh, she listening to me, da, 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 and she need to do this for me, and da, da. And it was just like the Holy Spirit let me know, like, you're not a good mentee. And I was like, I'm not a good mentee. What you mean? I'm not a good, how we uh, full of pride. Okay, full of
Mm-hmm.
pride. Oh, what do,
Mm-hmm.
what do you mean? And it was just like, he let me know, you haven't told him you experienced the loss of your mother-in-law. You haven't shared that you know lost your dog. You haven't experienced, told her what you were dealing with. I hadn't even shared with her that I was packing up a 6-bedroom house and relocating to another state. I had not shared anything. You're not going to know my business. You just read my paper.
That's it.
But I want you to be my mentor. I want you to give me all the goodie, and I'm not going to share anything. And I sat there and I wrote an email, and I let her know I repented about being not a good mentee. Now she had to work, to
Mm-hmm.
work being a better mentor. But I realized that sometimes we have expectations
Mm-hmm.
that's not real, and we will lose on a great mentor. And I
Mm-hmm.
realized also when I went to another dissertation that was not very good, I immediately text my chair. I was done, good and done. I text her just saying, thank you for doing this. Thank you. You know, you like, I realized, oh my God, thank you. So we talk about mentors and mentees, and we see some people said, yep, they've had some people said, they have not. I realize that sometimes we can have mentors and we don't even realize that they're our mentors, because we're looking until you get that mentor that's a lot of times we look at, oh, well, you talk about their supporting you and guiding you. Sometimes you got to look toward a person.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I was going through this process, the future Dr. Williams, she inboxed me. She was like, I need to talk to you. God is telling me I need to do this. And I was like, I've been watching her, and I was just like, I saw the support that she had toward other people. That's attractive to me when you support other people. But at the same time, I saw you were doing the work with my first experience was I saw you was doing the work with Joyce Gilmore.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Yep.
was like, when you can get to the point where you can work, like, hey, I'm gonna pay my money. She wasn't doing it for free.
Mm-mm.
When you like that showed me that you were a person that wanted to do better for yourself. Because
Mm-hmm.
when you want to do better for yourself, it's gonna cost you something.
Mm-hmm.
Going through this doctoral program, it costs not just time, but it costs some ducats.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it did. It cost
Multiple ducats.
multiple ducats
And
on
guess
several
what?
occasions.
Before they let you graduate, they take you through an audit. They gonna get that money.
They're getting it. They're
But
getting that
people,
money.
yeah, but people are expecting
Mm-hmm.
free on both ends. And
Oh.
so, first of all, and we're gonna make a couple connections to your experience. But first of all, I want to encourage everyone that's on here. If you haven't had a mentor, or you think you haven't had a mentor, or you had a mentor, number one, you gotta help self. If there is somebody that um you've been watching, you got to know why you want them to mentor you. Not, oh, well, I want them to be my friend, or I want to be seen with them. I want to no, because people that are movers and shakers that are doing stuff, I don't know about you. When Dr. Williams, the future Dr. Williams, was talking, I said, "Oh Lord Jesus, she got time to do that? That we busy, but we
Mm-hmm.
make the time for what is important, and
Yes.
that is our passion and
Mm-hmm.
helping other people. But if you're not helping yourself as a mentee, that's going to, that will cause the mentor to lose interest. And
Very quickly.
and as a mentor, if you want to mentor people, they're not your friends. Now they could be what we call what you call it, friend tours. That's a new term. I
Mentor.
have some friend tours. They are my friends, but they are also my mentors.
Mm-hmm.
We're in a mentor relationship,
Mm-hmm.
but not everybody. Now my chair, I told her specifically that I wanted people on my committee that I can have a relationship with. But I
Mm-hmm.
understand the limitation of relationship is more professional. But during the holidays, I do send a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that relationship, and I think you mentioned it, or I in the definition, it takes time, and it changes over time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
let's talk about mentorship and this wholeness
Oh,
that you talk about.
mhm.
How can mentorship bring wholeness to one? You talk about wholeness as people, leaders, people, organizations. How
Mhm.
can mentorship help in that wholeness?
Yeah. So I think the wholeness, mentorship and wholeness, I think is part of the its development. It has to take, one, I think it starts with looking at self. I think we start with self, right?
Hmm.
What is the need? What is our need? What is our desire? What are the things that we don't do well, and what are the things we do? It requires assessing, right?
Hmm.
Assessing ourselves and seeing what we need. And in most cases, right, especially that formal, you gave me the right term. In the formal process, right? Usually it is because someone is saying, "Hey, I need help." And that's when that formal process begins, right?
Hmm.
This is the area that I might need help in. Like you said, it may not be, we might be helping someone through, navigate. That was the word you used, navigate through a new position, a new season in their lives, whatever that thing is. But in that process, it has to be, it should come from a place of knowing what, and not in some cases exactly what you need. Sometimes,
Hmm.
as mentors, we have to ask some probing questions when someone
Hmm.
approaches us to say, "Hey, I want you to be my mentee." There's some questions like to get to the core. They might say, "I really want to do this," but we might have to dig a little bit deeper. But again, it's about, self-awareness, and then we help to build on that,
Hmm.
right? To bring that holistic approach. It all points from self, gaining understanding, application, and also just starting to live it out. It drives it drives into purpose. I'm hoping that that makes sense. It's a
Yeah.
holistic approach. You cannot, um, be mentored trying to be somebody else. It's not going to help with that wholeness,
Hmm.
right? It really has to be very specific, very pointed to an expected end in a sense, right?
Hmm.
So knowing, yep, I might admire somebody, but this is who I want to become. This is what I need to do. These are the skills that I need to get there, and
Hmm.
being honest with that, not worrying about anybody else. It has to be a pure motivation, um, to why you want to be mentored and why you're doing what you're doing. And I think it turns around to be 360, because I believe at the end of that, that mentee should be looking to help somebody else along the way,
Hmm.
right? It's not just for us.
Right.
Um, navigating through the career, navigating through school, navigating through whatever those things are should always be pointed, one, to your purpose, and also to help somebody else along the way. So I think it's always, for me, that's the holistic approach. Self-awareness is absolutely critical. Not
Hmm.
that you're perfect, not that you, it's awareness. If I could just share really quickly about an experience. So in a ministry where I was, leading a counseling ministry, and, in this particular church, those who felt that they were called to be counselors, ministers, teachers, um, right, they had to go through a class that I taught called self confrontation,
Hmm.
right? Because there's things that we may not be aware that exist, right? Or we know it's there, but we haven't necessarily dealt with it. And again, it's not about perfection, but it's about awareness, so you can get and be successful. So when you bumping up against somebody, if you know that you got some things that people
Right.
are going to rub you the wrong way, everybody don't know that but then you exploding on them. That's not good.
That's not good.
It's not good. So even in the mentor process, that's why I'm saying that self-awareness, you need to know what some of those things are, and the mentor will help guide you through those. We might even see them and say, "Hey, I noticed this. You're a little short-tempered in this, blah blah blah," or, you want to do things quickly, blah blah blah. And we cultivate that. We address those, and being willing, and that mentee must be open for constructive criticism.
Mm, mm,
And we have to be, as mentors, bold enough and courageous enough to be truthful about what we see too. That can't slide.
mhm,
And
mhm.
those who I have mentored, even my, what you call it, what was the friend mentor?
Is Frentor.
Friend tours. I have
Frentor.
friends who I've mentored or whatever. They already know I don't play with you like that. Like if you say you need this, we're not wasting no time. I love you, all the things, but if you say you need me to help you to get to point A to point B, it's serious, right? So even in those experiences, we have to make sure that we're being transparent and willing to give constructive criticism and also receive it. Because sometimes it do hurt. My feelings got hurt a whole lot with some of my mentors. Like, yo, you need to lighten up, sis, or you're gonna pass out. You're gonna blow a whole gasket. Tight, stop being so daggone rigid.
Right,
We
like
know you like structure and all, but come on.
yeah,
Let's. But I
yeah.
had to, but that was helping me with self-awareness so I could get to the next thing because my expectations of others was distorted because I wasn't dealing with all the things of self or these unrealistic expectations,
Hmm.
right?
That you had on
All
for
that
you.
had to come out.
Hmm. Yeah. Now the and I
I
as you were as you can you hear me? Can you all hear me? Okay. That friend tour, one of the things that I realized if that mentorship relationship is really working, that mentee has some new knowledge that the mentor may not have. And that mentee, if that mentor has been open and has been doing a very good job with mentoring the mentee will begin to mentor the mentor.
Mhm.
That is what's called reverse mentoring.
I love that.
And it can become a benefit. So that's where I read an article that Dr. Neil sent me, and we was like, yeah, we friend tours because she started off as a mentor to me. I was like, this girl write like a postdoc. I was scared when I read her stuff. I was like, I gotta write like this. Oh, I don't know if I'm a pass. I was like, oh, I might as well just say I'm done. But
Uh-huh.
her encouragement was like, girl, you write good. You could do. I was like, she just telling me that. She just, I didn't want to believe her at first, like, nah, she just saying that. Mm-mm. No, I
Hmm.
know my writing ain't that good. No, not like hers. As I was reading, I was like, what's that word? Let me look that up. What's that word?
Hmm.
I was like, what that mean? Let me read that whole sentence again. I was
Yes.
like, this girl just going to get her doctorate. This is like a postdoc paper.
Hmm. Hmm.
But I realized that as she started mentoring me, and encouraging me, I started mentoring her with what I had to give,
Hmm.
right?
Yes.
And so
Yes.
that can be the benefit of mentoring. So I want to point that out, but I want to
So
also
good.
encourage women, and we're going to wrap this up, to know that if somebody you go to somebody and they busy, we've had this experience, as and I don't know if you've had it, the future Dr. Williams, but you see a faculty member or they got it going on, you like, oh, I want to just have a meeting with them, and you go to just set a meeting and they like, I'm busy, no, I don't have time. You be like they put up a guard, like, and sometimes the
Hmm.
reality in my research showed that sometimes you'll get in these colleges where there's only one black female professor. And then they expect the one black female professor to mentor all the blacks that come
Oh,
through.
yeah.
And
Uh-huh.
that don't work. Not everybody have the same personality that, it just,
Right.
you got to know that, as the future Dr. Wills was saying, you got to know yourself and what rubs you the right way, or what,
Hmm.
where you can be your true self. I don't have to, with my friend tours, which I don't have a lot of them, I could
Hmm.
be myself. I could be go. I am very task oriented. Like, I got to get this done. I got to get, y'all
Right.
saw my little checklist, chapter one, chapter. I was serious. I drove other people crazy, but that's
Mm-hmm.
how I had to get through my stuff. So I want to encourage you, if you get that no, then what you have to do is make up in your mind, okay, do they have any books out, any articles? I'm going to get that information whether they want to sit and meet with me or not. If there's someone, some of you said, I want to, have a homeless shelter. I believe Teresa said that. Well, how
Mm-hmm.
many homeless shelters have you gone to? Who have you gone and connect and serve? Sometimes for us to walk into what our passion is, we got to do the work. And I didn't realize that a lot of the work I was doing, even though it was painful, and times I got rejected in some of the positions I was in, I realized all that I did before this PhD
Mm-hmm.
was building me to get me to this point.
Yeah.
So I had to spend time and I had to spend money. So whatever you passionate about, we don't have time to just sit and wait for it to happen. We got to help ourselves. It just like if you saw them cookies on the table and somebody said, you can have some. If you don't get up, and maybe
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't say cookies, I'm gonna say carrots for those that are doing the Daniel fast. If you don't get up and go get
Mm-hmm.
it,
Yeah.
you ain't getting none. And so
Mm-hmm.
for some of us, we've been taught, you get a mentor, you get a coach when you're a kid, when you bad, when you
Yes.
misbehave, when you're in school. That's when people they need a mentor. They need somebody to come and show them the way. No, ain't no coach or no mentor gonna show nobody with bad behavior the way. You
Mm-hmm.
got to do that beforehand. No.
Before. Mm-hmm.
So, but we get conditioned to think, if somebody say, "Oh, you need a mentor," what they mean? I can't do the job? No, you can do the job,
Yeah.
but this mentor is gonna help you. You make it do the job, but you may not be able to navigate in those spaces, especially when you sit at the table and it's all men and you
Yes.
speak and they act like you didn't say nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So
Been there.
I want to leave with what the future Dr. Williams said about to refer. That's been one of my things to refer. Um, Tie that to mentoring. How does that look to refer someone? What
Mm-hmm.
does that mean to refer someone?
Yeah.
And then try to connect that to mentoring.
Yep. So in instances, some instances where you are mentoring, you're mentoring someone, and right, you identify that the person's goals, their aspirations require a skill set that you may not have. For instance, I can tell you about books, literature, stuff like that all day, right? But if that career path, or they're trying to navigate through their goals, and that person, for instance, needs statistics, or
Mhm,
they need something that involves math, or they need some insight on it. I might can give you some help on the surface, but it may not give you something deeper, right? So
mhm,
I would refer them to my sister friend, or someone who is well versed in that particular area. In other instances, someone might be wanting to start a business, right? I know how to start it, um, to a certain extent, right? I'm not well versed in 501(c)(3)s.
mhm,
I can tell you how to apply for your LLC. I can tell you how to get your EIN. I can tell you how to look up your fictitious name, right?
mhm,
But I might not be well versed in 501(c)(3)s. So I'm going to refer you to a person who knows how to do that while still walking alongside. And I'm learning along with them, right? That what they're bringing back. So it's again, it becomes that reciprocal. I'm gaining knowledge from what I referred them out to. So I might not have that knowledge. So referring is okay. It doesn't, as a mentor, don't be afraid to do that, because there is a lot of expectation that because someone comes to us as a mentor, we know it all or we have it all together. We need to be upfront with that. This is what I know. Or as you're growing, as you're learning more and you find that you can't, don't try.
Mm-hmm.
Don't take someone down the wrong path. Don't guess. If you know someone or you have a resource that could help them, do that
Mm-hmm.
instead of, because we could mess a person up
Mm-hmm.
trying to teach them something that we're not well versed in. It's okay to do that. So let yourself off the hook as a mentor to refer. And it's okay to do, again, it's okay to do, the referral piece. So I think that all of that matters. We still are influencing and having an impact in that person's journey, even when we have to refer them for a portion of the mentor process. It doesn't take them away from you, or away from the relationship, but be okay with referring.
And that's that guiding piece.
You got a
It really
guide.
is. And
I'll- and I'll say, as a mentor, no, I think part of that too is no training for that necessarily, right? But there is preparation, meaning when we're self-developing, meaning like we should be out networking, we
Mhm,
should be out learning, meeting other people. That's how we get the resources
mhm,
to help other people, to
mhm,
refer them out. All the stuff, someone said, yeah, volunteering, all of those things help to build those relationships so we can refer people out. And that helps show, that's wisdom. That's wisdom too. That shows that we are accountable, that we are in the know, and we're relevant when
mhm.
we can bring people in to those spaces as well.
That's amazing, because that one of the things that what you said is important as far as how to develop as a mentor. There's so many people that are out here today that are calling themselves coaches and mentors, um, and they haven't had training. They're being trained as they collect money for the ones that they
Yes,
mentoring or coaching,
yes, and I've
right?
experienced that, and I'm like,
It's sort of, when you look at doctors, hospital doctors, they have to go through many rounds, and they still practicing when they're doing medicine
mhm,
on you. But
yeah,
because they've gone through multiple rounds of practice, their skill is sharper.
mhm,
And that's one of the things that we're going to be offering for those that are mentors or want to be a mentor, because we're going to teach about mentees and all of that. You'll be able to get that from your girl right here. Okay. And so we're going to be launching that this summer. This is what it'll probably be before the summer, but this is leading to that, because what we need to understand is, number one, we all can be mentors, but we all first have to effectively be mentees.
yes, we have to be
And
good ones, like you said, good ones.
yes, we got to be open. We got to, just like that idea of volunteering. Um, a lot of us work jobs where they paid us to get the skills. We didn't come on the job with the skills. We got the skills as they paid us week by week or month by
Mhm,
month.
mhm,
So, some of us, if we want to move the dial in our lives, we have to be willing to help ourselves. That means there's
mhm.
going to be sacrifice of time, sacrifice of your resources. It's getting in those arenas. And I'm not just saying you don't have to be at a conference. One of the things that we do not like to do is to read. There's so much information in
So,
reading that we
so
miss. Think about it. When they go to make a film off of a book, we get a fraction of the book. We don't get
mhm,
all the details and the nitty gritty. And so it's important for us to understand that and to know that. But
Mm-hmm.
do not, it saddens me that, when we first going through this process and I was asking for people to interview, people was like, well, I haven't had a mentor. I haven't had a mentor. And sometimes you just got to go outside of your circle,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to be willing
Yes.
to make that sacrifice,
See,
because there's going to be some cultures that, as the future Dr. Williams was saying, I love the way she put it. She said, organizations have personalities.
mm-hmm.
Those are cultures,
Mm-hmm.
strong. Like, you got to
Yes.
know if they're really family valued, or they don't care about getting the task done. They want to like you. They want to make sure you're personable, that
Mm-hmm.
we can go out and enjoy and laugh, and yeah, you can get 50% of the work done. You got to understand the culture, because I go in there like, what's the problem? Why we not making money? Why this?
Yeah.
Like, oh God, that's the organizational development. I'm like, okay,
Yes.
this effective. This is not effective. But the
Have
culture is
fun
like,
later. Let's
yeah,
go.
and the culture is like, oh my God, we want to have fun. And I'm like, oh my God, what's wrong with them? They're not making money, So you got to understand that. And I, going through this program, I really realized, I was like, man, that wasn't a real good fit for them and me. Now I went in and made some changes that made it
Mhm.
make them look really good, but
Yeah.
they didn't like me. So
Yeah.
I want them to like me too,
Yes.
So
Yes.
understanding that, we've held y'all here longer than we should, but this is the first night, and I want to encourage you all to come back, because we're going to be building. You're going to get a chance to hear the ladies, their stories, and then we'll be connecting it to mentoring. But I want you to come back so you can kind of continue to get nuggets. There's going to be some questions that we're going to be asking them, and I want you to answer those questions as well. This is, like I said, this is exciting. For the month of January, we are going to be focusing on mentorship. And in April, the week before the future Dr. Williams
I love it.
conference, their leadership conference, which I have last year I wanted to go, and I'm like, no, this year I'm going. Um, we're the week before, we're going to be doing The Doctors Are In, and it is going to be a virtual, amazing opportunity for you to be mentored by women who have gone through and to the highest level. But they're going to be sharing their narrative, and you're going to be amazed at what you hear these women, some of the things they experienced in life, some of their passions, and it is to excite you and cause you to move. Maybe you ain't gonna go get a doctorate, and that's okay, but you need
Mm-hmm.
to move in your passion to the highest. Okay,
Can I
so
sign up?
I
Sign up
want to,
right now.
you got yeah, it will be, you'll probably see it ready to sign up in February. We're excited about it, and I'm excited to, as we continue to move, we're gonna be bringing in new doctors, because Dr. Williams is coming on along, y'all. So I
I'm
want to
excited.
just give a shout out to, the future Dr. Williams, and to each and every one of you that stayed here this long and you
Thank you.
participated.
Thank you.
You have a place in this space. And so I want to ask you to join us on tomorrow, the same time, because we have a future Dr. Butler coming
Yes.
tomorrow.
I can't wait. I'm on.
Is there anything, I want to give you the last words? Is there anything you would like to say to all of us?
Yeah. So I was looking through, in the chat, all of, goals and the things that everybody kind of chimed in and are aspiring to do. I'm going to say, do it.
Do it.
Really, I know that's simple, right? But take a step, one step to start, right? Whether that's volunteering in the homeless shelter, whether it's being intentional about reaching out to a mentor, whether it's signing up, enrolling, and doing research to go back to school. um, to start journaling, whatever that thing is, begin to start somewhere. Now, you can't wait. Remove those barriers. I shared that before. Well, I got this, I got to get done. I got that, I got to get done. Yep, it all has to get done because life is life,
Right.
right? And you have to find a way to accomplish your goal. Living this life without purpose is is very it could be very empty,
Mhm.
and we are placed on this earth to be have a fulfilled and purpose life. So while we're here, be intentional about moving towards your purpose, whatever that is. Don't look at the barriers. Identify what's necessary or what's needed to accomplish the goal, but you take small steps. You tap in, right? You look at resources, you look at mentorship, you read books, all the things, those things that will get you there. Now is the time to take action and to collaborate with others to get to where you need to be. You cannot do this alone.
Mhm.
You need a community, you need your family. And
Mhm.
one of the things I often share is, and I'm done, is that if no one knows what your passions are, how can they support you? If you're keeping it to yourself, no one will ever know what they can do for you. They
Mhm.
don't know. So it's now time to share your dreams, share your visions with trusted individuals, and especially your family.
Mhm.
Because if they want to see you successful, see you happy, they will support. And you might not have a situation where it might be supportive. Get into a community where it could be found. And I'll say, because you're on here with Dr. J, I know she's connected with people who can support you. You
Mhm.
now know who I am. Connect.
Yes.
Follow us on our socials, right? To see what we're doing to get the resources that you need. No excuses. You need community and you need to be able to share your vision so that people can support. Don't keep it to yourself anymore. Share it.
Yes. Share it. Um, you have a book out.
I do. I do.
So definitely share it. Um, send it to me, or you could share it on my page. I'll accept it. Share it in the DNA. You have a book out. I'm going to put out. There's several books that I want to encourage you women to read.
Mhm.
Um, it. Do not. I know if you a reader and you go to sleep reading, pick it back up the next day and read another page. Do
That's me.
not allow the enemy to steal it from you. I'm telling you, a lot of your answers are in books, is in the Bible. Do not deny, do not waste any more time. I just made up in my mind that I have a neighbor and she read books. She was like, "Did you read this book? Did you?" I was like, "Oh no, I can't be with." And she in her 70s. I was just like,
Mhm.
"Oh no, I will be reading. I will
Yes.
be reading. I will be getting a book a week done."
Mhm.
Some books I was like, "Oh, okay, now this I got to do a little work on this. So this you got to do some thinking. So that's gonna take me a little longer." But
And it's
I
audible. It's audibles. There's so many
Yes, it's
ways.
Audible books. And I'll get an Audible book and listen to it, but I get a hard copy so I can make notes in it. But whatever way you have to get the information, if you are on here now, can you um put I know there's some I know Dr. Neil is on. Put your book, if you have an article that you wrote, show us how to get there. I'm telling you, in this season, if you're not reading, you're gonna miss a lot. And I know some people we learn by hearing, but it doesn't stick. It's just too much. Like we talked about a lot. It's almost 90 minutes. I guarantee you there's certain things you've just forgot. This will be up so you'll get an opportunity to listen to it again.
Mhm.
Some words I want to say so that when you listen to it and you get to the end that you remember is the future Dr. Williams said family, tell your family. She said community, connect, help. She said rhythm. We didn't get to that. We're going to talk about that. Rhythm, structure, organization, interpersonal, wholeness, self reflection. We all need development, learning, stretched. We're going to be stretched, make an impact in ones we love, um, reverse mentoring, refer, allowing people to love you. That's a biggie.
Yeah.
To do that, you have to be very vulnerable. So I want
Yeah.
to just close in a word of prayer. Um, and I want to encourage you, whatever you're struggling with, you got to be honest with it. Because if you're not, then God can't deal with it, and nobody else ain't gonna deal with it. Because right now, I tell people, they be like, I need your advice. I'm like, are you gonna listen to me, or you just want me to talk? Because I got better things to do. I'm getting older, and I got to get done what God want me to get done. Hello. All right, let's pray. Lord, we just thank you for this evening, and we thank you for this start. God, we know that you want us to expand in our community, expand with you, and Father, expand in mentorship. And God, I just ask that every person that is listening, that's here, those that will listen later, Lord, I thank you for an open heart and an open mind, but most of all, a willingness to put it into action. We thank you for the future Dr. Williams. We thank you for covering her and protecting her and causing everything that you put in her hands to be big. Oh God, to be of excellence. Lord, show her your how you refer her. In Jesus' name, we give you praise. Amen and amen. I love
Amen.
you all. I want to encourage you. Don't show up tomorrow without bringing someone with you. You want
Yes.
to make sure that you're referring this yumminess to
Mhm.
somebody else. All righty.